How you doing? I just poured the last of this Chestnut Farms here, just a little bit, going easy these days. The summertime, it's hot. You can't be sipping so much of this stuff. I won't take too long of your time tonight. I'm going to teach you something that even I don't know the answer to, but there are some best practices. So let's get situated here. All this good? Looks good, right? So, the 5-year rule? So if you have a Roth IRA and you open it, when you open it, there's a little date that gets attached to it that says, this is your start date. And it's not the month, the date, and the year. It's actually just the year, right? Because that's all the IRS cares about. If you start a Roth IRA in November of this year, your start date is 2023. And 5-year rule says, well, you got to have the Roth IRA open for 5 years if you plan to take qualified withdrawals, okay? And a qualified withdrawal would be a withdrawal of contributions and earnings after the age of 59 and a half. So the 5-year rule wraps right around there. You've seen me do a bunch of videos on that, so that's nothing new. If you're 50, let's say you turn 60, but your Roth IRA has only been open for 3 years, you got to wait 2 more years actually before you can take out both contributions and earnings. The contributions, you're always able to take out, right? I am 41 years old. If I put $1,000 into my Roth IRA today, and tomorrow I decide to take it out, that $1,000 is not taxed. And so there's a whole separate thing there. Well, what happens if I put $1,000? Let's start over. What happens if I get divorced? All right. This is a gray area. Believe it or not, there's still gray areas in the IRS tax code. There are some best practices, but let's talk about it. Let us pretend that you have a Roth IRA, and sadly this happens to somebody every week, it seems. You have a Roth IRA, your spouse has a Roth IRA, and you guys split. You go different directions. But your Roth IRA was bigger, and you say, you know what, I'm going to give you a piece of that. I'm gonna do the actual QDRO or QRDO. I'm going to move over a piece of my Roth IRA to you. It's not a problem. You're not in any trouble. But to make each other whole, you're going to do that. How does that count? You know what I'm saying? So I'm the spouse, and I have $500,000 in my Roth IRA. You're my spouse, and you have $100,000. And so I'm going to give you a couple $100,000 to go into your Roth. That's totally allowed. Your lawyer will walk you through it. We deal with these all the time. You're not taking money out. You're just putting it in their Roth. Okay, so the money goes into your spouse's Roth. Let's say $200,000. What's the clock on that? Can they just take it out? Does it count as a contribution? What are we doing here? Well, there's actually no clear or very, very little guidance, period, on how this works. So what happens is accountants, CPAs, they treat it like an inherited IRA. They use the same process, although in the inherited IRA section of the IRS code says nothing about dissolution of marriage or divorce, right? We're just looking at inherited stuff. So for example, if your spouse died and you inherited the IRA from the spouse, well, you have a couple choices, but if you inherited a Roth IRA, then it goes by the date that they started the Roth. So if they started the Roth 3 years ago and amassed some amount of money in there, then they pass away. You just have to wait 2 more years, right? Or you can go different routes as well, but that's one of the rules. So CPAs will say, we're going to use that as our best practice because we have no other real reason to believe this. So it goes by the date that the Roth IRA started, which I'm not telling you this because I don't know this to be the actual rule. Nobody actually does. But if your spouse had a Roth IRA open for 10 years and then you split and they put up some portion of that in yours and you had your Roth IRA open for 10 years and you're not 59 and a half, those are your contributions. Like the very next second, you would technically be allowed to take those contributions out. This is the one time I'm going to say, whatever your CPA says they want to do and they're comfortable backing up is fine. But ask them, what's the rule on this? And you're going to get a blank stare. And if they've been through this before, you're going to get someone that says, well, we're going to treat it like an inherited Roth IRA. Isn't that funny? That's like, to me, the most odd thing that we haven't solved for that. Like divorce is nothing new. So, it's a tricky transaction. But think of the 5-year rule as still applying in that Roth contribution is what you would actually call it. That's what would be listed as a distribution from your Roth contribution to their Roth. Their Roth has been open more than 5 years. The contribution dollars, technically yours to touch, and no one's really going to stop you, right? It's not like a big deal there. So just a short one for you, because I had that on my mind this week. We've had a kind of a rough week with some clients having family members that passed away. We're always in the middle of helping people with divorces and stuff, and it came up. And so I went looking for it. I'm like, there's actually no real rule. Called a few advisors. I'm like, what would you do in this case? They're like, we just put the money in the Roth as directed by the attorney, and we say, we're done, go talk to your accountant. And I thought, well, that's kind of a lazy answer. So I wanted to look at it there. What I also did is I pinged the guidance for the IRS. So if by chance, and this is just sort of an alert, basically, if the keywords have to be there, but if there is discussion about Roth IRA, divorce, and 5-year rule, or potentially anything like that, and they do come out with guidance one day, I'll update this video and let you know. So there you go. Did you learn something from that? Do you like these Jazz After Darks? I like doing them. I like that as well. But I'm looking for some more in-depth topics that we could do. So if there is something that's weighing on you, provided that it's, I guess, broad enough where it would apply, right? Divorce applies statistically to half the people out there. And so just something I wanted to touch on tonight. But if you have a topic that's broad enough, I'm happy to look into it, do more research on it in terms of putting something visual together. Obviously, if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to tell you, but I'm happy to put something together for you if you have some ideas. Otherwise, I've got a few things up my sleeve here that I've been working on for a while. So we'll see you next time on Jazz After Dark. You enjoy the rest of your evening because it's late here. As you can tell, those are real windows. It's dark behind those windows. All right. See you later.